Did Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad bribe the Colombian government to send an innocent woman to prison for 20 years? I just made this. Let's talk about it. Thanks to the investigative journalism by CasaMacondo out of Colombia, this is what we know so far. OUR financed the participation of at least 13 officials from the Attorney General's office in a conference in Cartagena, even though these officials are legally prohibited from receiving funds from private organizations. Despite this restriction, the officials, including prosecutors and investigators, attended the event on the dates of April 4th to the 7th, 2022 at the Hilton Hotel in Cartagena with all expenses covered by OUR. Essentially, OUR was not satisfied that Kelly Suarez, who is their villain in the Sound of Freedom movie, was let off on habeas corpus about a decade ago but served 18 months in Colombian prison. In 2022, OUR targeted these various different officials in Colombia, because what does it mean when you're getting ready to release your Sound of Freedom movie in 2023, but your villain, Kelly Suarez of the Sound of Freedom, was released on habeas corpus and she was never convicted? OUR specifically targets the investigators and prosecutors focused on human trafficking. He wines and dines them. Kelly Suarez gets convicted of, right now, just pimping, but Tim Ballard is all over the internet saying that we convicted her of being a sex trafficker when that didn't even happen. But that's all part of his myth-making and his story. When questioned, most officials denied receiving funds, but one prosecutor admitted to being financed by OUR to attend the event, contradicting the official stance. So if we know that in 2022, some Colombian government officials that are going to be dealing with the prosecution of Kelly Suarez and matters related to Tim Ballard's myth-making, that at least 13 officials are involved, why did the Colombian government officials take money and services from OUR when it's against the law? And then, with Tim Ballard celebrating the conviction of Kelly Suarez in Colombia this week, what are his true motives, and was bribery involved? I'll be covering all of this with Kelly Suarez. We have an in-depth interview with her and her mother, my co-host Ryan Fisher, who is an ex-business partner and ex-good friend of Tim Ballard. Ryan Fisher and I have a podcast called Timmy Did What? Ryan just flew down to Colombia and testified as like the final witness on behalf of Kelly, as a character witness of Tim Ballard, and Ryan says that Tim Ballard was there talking in English and Spanish to the prosecution of Kelly during the trial. A lot has been on the line with Tim Ballard because this is more of like a deciding factor of if the inception and the creation of the Sound of Freedom narrative of OUR and the movie's plotline and its villain is actually true to life, or if it's been fictionalized. And if you can, please donate to Kelly Suarez's GoFundMe page. I'll leave a link in my bio. Tim Ballard desperately needs a villain for this story, but throwing an innocent woman in a desperate situation who is not trafficking kids, who never has trafficked kids, and calling her a trafficker and ruining her life and sending her to Colombian prison for 20 years, that is not how we save women and children.